Welcome back to Better Than Before. It's Tony Richards, and today I want to talk to you about strengthening your self-awareness. And I want to start out with a quote. When you know both yourself and your competitors, you're never in danger. Know yourself but not others, and you have half a chance of winning. Knowing neither puts you in a position to lose. And that's by the great strategist Sun Tzu. And so here's the big idea I want to put in front of you on this particular subject, and that is knowledge is potential power. Utilizing and executing knowledge is released power. And that's also known as wisdom, right? So when you have knowledge, you have potential power. There is potential that can be used. But when you begin to use it in the right way and you begin to execute it, well, then that's known as wisdom, and that's released power. And so some of the things that you really need to know as far as self-awareness is concerned is you need to be highly aware of your own strengths. You need to be highly aware of your own weaknesses. You need to know what your source of motivation is. You need to know what your source of inspiration is. You need to have a high degree of clarity around your true purpose in life. You need to have a high degree of clarity on your vision and direction. And then finally, you need a high degree of clarity around the tasks and processes that you need for your best performance. And so those are just some things that would be really good for you to have a high degree of self-awareness. A couple of others, all right? You need an accurate appraisal of who you really are. You need to grade yourself and have a high degree of awareness about your level of physical fitness. You need to have a high degree of awareness around your level of mental fitness. You need to have a high degree of clarity and awareness around your spiritual fitness. And finally, you need to have a high degree of clarity around the level of your emotional fitness. So who you are, and then physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional fitness. And so give yourself a grade, on that, whatever scale you want to use. And then you need to develop some courage. And courage is that amplifier. It's that special medicine. It's that rocket fuel that you put on yourself that makes you do what you don't want to do so you can be what you always wanted to be. And here it might be taking an inventory and high degree of clarity around your personal struggles. What do you struggle with? Your personal blockages. What always seems to be in your way? And it could be you. Right? Have you ever seen someone who couldn't get out of their own way? What are the obstacles? Those might be there from someone else, right? Or something else. Someone or something else has put something in your way. And then finally, the fears that you have. What are those things that you're really afraid of? And we've dealt with how to deal with fear in previous episodes. So you can go back in the archives and find those frameworks of dealing with fear. When you have a high degree of self-awareness, when you really know yourself, this helps you know where you need to focus your work to go beyond previous and current limitations. You always want to be going past your limits, right? Pushing limits back. Where do you tend to sell yourself short? Where do you tend to hold yourself back? Where might you give your circumstances or your obstacles or your blockages more credit than they really deserve? Sometimes people I've seen when I've coached them, they've given the obstacle way more credit than they give themselves. They've given the blockage way more credit. They give their fear way more credit than they give themselves, right? And do not give your opponent, whatever that struggle, that blockage, that obstacle, that fear is your opponent. It's standing in your way, right? Don't give your opponent permission to make you feel inferior, because then what you've done is you've learned how to be helpless. You've taken all your power away. It's learned powerlessness, right? You've become a victim, and you've given something, whether it's an actual person or whether it's an actual situation or if it's just a perceived fear of worst case scenario, you're giving that person or that thing power over you without even a struggle or even without an encounter. You've just automatically given more credit or permission where you really didn't need to. You need to develop a high degree of clarity around quality decisions to refuse to compromise your talent. You need to refuse to compromise your toughness. You are way stronger than you think you are, right? And it takes those particular events or those particular situations. And one of these days, I want to do a segment on processing and how things are processing you and putting you through a process to prepare you for things that are bigger, right? And so we're all on this path of victories that lead to bigger and bigger challenges. And so you don't want to compromise your strength. You don't want to compromise your toughness. You don't want to compromise your courage. And when you have command of your self-awareness, you can play that situation out moment by moment by demonstrating who you are and what you have. And you can be proud of that. You know, you can learn to really care about yourself and love yourself. When you don't trust the real you on the inside, that's where fear and uncertainty have got you right where they want you. You are plenty good enough to compete strongly every single time. I don't care what the contest is. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what it is you're trying to accomplish or what milestone you're trying to reach. You are good enough to compete strongly for that every single time. Doesn't mean you get it every single time. You're not going to play a perfect golf game every time. You're not going to handle a situation perfectly every time. But as long as you're competing, as long as you're expending energy toward tackling that situation, you can be proud of yourself that you did the very best you could. You deserve to be living the best version of you that's ever possible, right? And it doesn't really matter about anybody else, right? You need to recognize sometimes the people around you, they don't want you to change. Sometimes the people around you don't want the best for you, right? So regardless of any other person in your life, you deserve to be the best you that you can be. You deserve to milk out every little bit of value that you have. You need to just milk it. Get your every bit of potential converted into actual real results that you can. You need to be playing a game with yourself, and you need to be doing a contest with yourself to get that very last bit of the best of you out that you possibly can, because you got big things to contribute. You need to display all your authenticity, all the things that are actually you, and you need to be applying that towards something you love, and then that is the best life and career possible.
Thank you for listening to Better Than Before with Tony Richards, a business leaders podcast powered by Clear Vision Development Group. For more resources from Tony, visit clearvisiondevelopment.com. Join us next time for another episode of Better Than Before with Tony Richards.